And from the Dude Wife studio located inside the South Point studios in fabulous Las Vegas, it's Gone Racing. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gone.
Center camera.
I'm looking at you, or I'm looking at the camera. I'm
Center
not looking
camera,
at the wrong
not
camera.
Not that camera, that camera.
Right. I'm not looking at the wrong camera.
Yeah.
I guess I can look at you, right? Yeah, that smiling face.
That didn't work on Sirius. All right, never mind.
But great to be back in the saddle again this week, Gone Racing, and had a huge weekend last weekend at Sonoma. I guess we kind of were proven wrong that it kind of doesn't matter what kind of course that you turn left and right on. You're not going to beat Shane Van Gisbergen if nothing goes wrong.
Look, we said Shane was absolutely the favorite. I just said I didn't think he had as big of his advantage at Sonoma, which he didn't have as big of a lead. So he did not have as big of an advantage, but I will be the first to have to eat my hat because Shane absolutely showed why he is the best road racer we've ever seen come through the sport.
You know, it's interesting. I almost wonder, could he have won by more?
Oh, absolutely. I think he could have.
I mean, we had 2 late restarts, and we don't get those 2 late restarts.
You know,
and he was so good on those restarts, by the way.
He went on Junior's podcast this week, and he had something that was really great. What I like to say, look, I like SVG. I've liked him since he came.
He's a great dude.
Great personality, great guy. But he said the right thing, and he said, look, he goes, I've learned in this sport, you race people as they race you. He said he had Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell that were, next to him and behind him on these restarts. He said he loved it because he felt he had great racers that weren't going. Now, look, if you could take advantage of him, he knew that, you'll get taken advantage of. But he said if it was and not to pick on Carson Hocevar, he said if the 77 was behind him, he knew that he was screwed, because he's just going to run through.
He's not going to break going in turn 4.
So
probably.
that was that. He gave a great interview on it, and he gave a great talk, which is he's had to learn that you race people as they race you, which is we've talked for years. That was a rule we all kind of had, which has kind of gone out the wayside. It was neat to see. Chase Briscoe had 2 restart shots at him. Really, I mean, they rubbed him up and they ran hard and clean, and it was great. But Shane proved he was that good. What I really like, though, without the Shane Van Gisbergen, I think this is a complete fumble on TNT. Absolutely dropped the ball, completely 1,000,000%. We talk about what gambling can do for your television coverage. Shane Van Gisbergen in 1 lap had a 2.5-second lead on Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell. Congratulations. Great job. Chase Elliott, whatever. That was great. Way to go. You had this in-season challenge that TNT wanted. It's basically head-to-head matchups. You have all this going, and look, I know you have to show the winner. That's great. Soon as he wins, you need to cut back to the biggest battle left on the track, which I've said this. How many years have I said, Jeff? Gambling can make the thing more exciting. You had Ty Dillon, who started behind Alex Bowman, passed him the lap before, not shown on television, then got hit, and according to Kyle or Ty Dillon's own words on Sirius earlier this week, got hit as hard as he's been hit in a car. I mean, jarred his molars, and Alex, not by Alex, in just a racing thing, got passed back by Alex Bowman, and in turn 11 on the last lap, Ty Dillon does one of the most beautiful textbook, not dump and runs, not wreck you and take the spot, does a perfectly executed bump, slide, and a side-by-side door-banging battle, and TNT does not show it for like 3 minutes till after they interview a bunch of people.
Yeah, because we were trying to figure out who'd won that matchup because we knew the others were pretty well settled.
I'm watching SMT data and scoring, timing and scoring, going, Ty's in front of him. No, Ty's behind him because, of course, I had Ty as my bet last week as a head-to-head. And then at the finish, Ty's back in front of him. I'm like, why would they not show that?
Now, keep in mind, they do have another channel dedicated just to this tournament.
I don't care about the channel just dedicated. That's great. Congratulations. How many people are watching that versus the broadcast?
Well, especially now that there's only down to 4 matchups.
I think it was a complete fumble. And this goes to my point, though. Gambling can make the race more exciting. Television, learn how to do it right. Come talk to me and Jeff. Come talk to my family.
It's the only reason in the NFL anybody's watching the Titans play the Jaguars outside of Nashville.
Why do you think there's an injury report? Why do you think it's been saying this for decades? NASCAR, television, you guys have totally screwed this up. You need to listen to people that know it. But I digress. Let's get back to the odds to win and all the fun stuff that we talk about here.
Well, let's talk about how well Shane Van Gisbergen did for the bettors. And if you bet on Shane Van Gisbergen, you didn't make a lot of money. He was a plus 150 to win the race, minus 400 for a top 3. But remember what I told you. He was either going to win or he wasn't going to finish in the top 10. And Chevy minus 310. Now, Toyota
I had Toyota to win.
Toyota came close. And let's talk about that. For Chase Briscoe had never had a top 10 at Sonoma.
Yep.
Other than an ARCA race. He comes in second, plus 800, and ran there all
plus
day.
405. But it's wrong on the sheet. Plus 405. But here's the deal.
Oh, was it 405 in his group?
Oh, was it 405 in the group? Oh, he was 800 for the top three.
Because I had him in
I thought you had the top three. But here's the thing. We talked about Martin Truex Jr. and his dominance at that track. Didn't we say the same thing about Chase Briscoe and Martin Truex at Pocono? And how did Chase Briscoe do at Pocono?
He won.
Oh, he won the race. So Chase is now starting to take that Martin Truex team and making it his own. Plus 800 is awesome. And somebody had a top three for the next guy.
And before we get to that, I think it's very important that, Chase Briscoe said coming into the season and early on in the season, he couldn't really figure out what they were trying to do.
Now
but
he is.
I believe James Small.
Yep.
He knew how to set these cars up, and I think Briscoe has probably made a bigger adaptation to James Small than Small has had to make to Briscoe.
Both.
I'm sure there's some,
but it's starting to show. And you and I called this at the start of the season.
No question about it. And you talked about the other guy, Chase Elliott, who you and I were texting because when he pitted and dropped back to 16th, we're like, what is he doing? Now I'm thinking, honestly, if that race had gone green and not had two cautions, he might have won the race.
He slipped up. He got to third, was on Chase Briscoe's butt for second, slipped up, lost the spot back, had to pass it back. He could have had a shot with two to go.
I think Bell got by him, and then he and McDowell both got back around Bell. But anyway, plus 400, another good run for Chase Elliott, because Chase Elliott, I think we know when he goes to Sonoma, we know he's going to be tough. Looking around the rest of the top 10, boy, Michael McDowell, great run for that team. He really needed that, coming in fourth. Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, fifth, sixth, no big deal there. Ty Gibbs
still there.
I think we probably were a little disappointed in Ty Gibbs.
Seventh place, and we're disappointed. Good job.
I think we were expecting a little bit more than that. Byron, Logano, Bush, probably no real big surprises. I think McDowell, I don't really say McDowell's a surprise because McDowell's a guy who runs well on road courses. Take a look at how our groups did this week. Chase Elliott did win that Group A because SVG was not in a group at all. So Chase Elliott was a plus 310. Came home there. Michael McDowell, obviously, if he's going to finish fourth, he's probably going to win a group. But
against big names.
But against Christopher Bell, William Byron, and Chris Buescher. So huge for Michael McDowell to win that group there. Chase Briscoe, somebody picked him at plus 405 in Group C. So great run there. Also against some pretty good names. Joey Logano dropping all the way down to Group D, winning Group D at a plus 275. If Denny Hamlin's in Group E, take Denny Hamlin.
Did not work.
In fact, he had a miserable day. We hardly saw him all day long. So Brad Keselowski wins Group E, was a plus 300. And then my other theory of John Hunter Nemechek, if he's going to beat Eric Jones, he's probably going to win that group, but he did not because it seemed like all day long Nemechek kept going to the back, would pass about 15 cars and get another penalty or something would happen or spun out. And go to the back. So it was but John Hunter did manage to win his little head-to-head. We'll talk about the playoff stuff in a little while. So that was where the winners were last week. And Brendan, we did not get a new winner.
We did not. Looking safer to be when you're in.
In fact, SVG is if the playoffs started tomorrow, he would be the number 3 seed.
Yes, he would.
He is building up some bonus points that might help him get through that first round.
We talked about it. If he can slug his way through the first round, I know Danielle Trotta and Larry McReynolds were talking about it earlier this week on their show. I listened to it on the way into work, and Larry laid it out. If he just has 3 solid finishes in that first round, the second round is made for him, and he can make it to the final 8. And final 8, you got a shot still, right? I mean, he's looking good, and he is tied for the same number of wins this season as Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Christopher Bell. I mean, he is the man. And
I think what's humorous though is he has 4 top 10s and he has 3 wins.
Oh, actually, I didn't even notice that one. Yeah, there you go. 4 top 10s through. But here's the thing: a lot of fans this week on Sirius have been talking about. I'm sorry, fans. I don't care that you don't like that you have SVG fatigue and that. I don't know. I think it's awesome watching what he can do, and think it's awesome watching him get better on an oval.
You think any of these are older race fans?
You think?
I mean, do you think these are the same race fans when Darrell Waltrip could win all the time at Martinsville and North Wilkesboro and Bristol, but he would go to Daytona and Talladega and couldn't find the finish line? I mean, is it any different?
No. It's not.
It's kind of like some of these guys we would see run well at Daytona and Talladega. They go to a regular mile. I'm just look.
But the cutoff line, it's nasty. Bubba Wallace, 3 points.
Had a Ryan Preece who probably had Noah Gragson not gotten turned around late, and Preece basically just nailed him and where he had nowhere to go.
And Kyle Busch back in the conversation.
He is back in the conversation. I still think he's going to have to win.
He's back in the conversation.
He is. But Preece is a guy that I've been really high on, and I think Preece is going to get in. All right. Let's look at the upcoming schedule. Speaking of Bubba Wallace, I'm sure he's really happy that we're not turning left and right again for a few weeks anyway. This weekend we head off to Dover, the only stop at Dover, a place we used to go twice a year, the Monster Mile. It's kind of call it Bristol on steroids.
It is.
Because it basically looks like Bristol. It's just twice as big and high banking. And then we head off to Indianapolis on the big track.
For the championship round of the playoff in-season tournament.
They're kind of limping home a little bit, I would say. Then we head out to Iowa. What's going to be our third trip? Second race in Iowa, I think. I think heading out to Iowa, repaved Iowa track. Then we got one more road course left in the regular season. We go to Watkins Glen and then Richmond. So Richmond and Iowa are very, very similar.
They say that, but I sucked at Richmond and loved Iowa, so I don't know.
Isn't it interesting how that works? Because you also think
everybody knows I sucked at Richmond.
Some people think if you're good at Pocono, you're good at Indianapolis, but
it
doesn't really always work that way. But I mean, we still got some versatility, don't you think? Here?
Oh yeah, no, it's super fun. I mean, Dover, Indy, Iowa road course, and then Richmond. Richmond's everybody's favorite. I mean, it's the action track, right? That's the track that everybody loves. I just
hadn't
I
as
just
much
hated
action
it.
the last few years.
I just hated it.
I don't know. It just seems to me
I didn't just hate it. I mean, hate is a word I'm giving short distance on there.
Well, I can appreciate that a little bit.
Sorry,
Richmond,
Dennis.
It just hasn't been as much action as in the past. Okay, we're back on Gone Racing here in just a couple minutes, and we'll start giving you the odds to win this weekend at Dover. Welcome back into the Dude Wipe Studio here at the South Point Hotel Casino in fabulous Las Vegas. It's Gone Racing, Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan. And Brendan, we're talking all things now Dover this weekend.
We are talking Dover, and as usual,
we talked about how much you hated Richmond. Did you like Dover?
I love Dover.
Like Dover?
Dover was so much fun. And, of course, I loved Medding and Son down the road. Get me a crab pretzel.
That's right. You were not a Sambo's guy.
No, the real place, Medding and Sons.
Right? You
drive right on past that place, keep on going down the parkway there, and end up at Medding and Sons.
Free meals at Sambo's if you ever go back to Dover.
That's okay. I never had one anyway.
Never had
but Medding and Sons.
You remember Jim Phillips used to work for MRN?
Yes, I do.
Chopper, they
Absolutely.
call it. Went to dinner with him one time at Sambo's. There was a big group of us there. And he probably didn't weigh 140 pounds soaking wet. And he was like 6'2", right? And I am telling you right now, the man had a pile of crabs that would up in front of him that you couldn't see him over the table. I never could figure out how he could eat all that. But anyway, I digress.
Medding and Son.
So let's talk about Dover. Now, we got some guys with a lot of starts. Kyle Busch has 36 starts here. Denny Hamlin's got 34. And we got some guys with some pretty impressive records here.
You and I off air, Jeff, I said, oh my God. I mean, you look at this. Kyle Busch has 22 top 10s in 36 races. But how about Chase Elliott, 10 top 5s in 14 races, and Kyle Larson, 12 top 10s in 16 races. These are phenomenal stats from guys that are still at peak performance with Kyle and Chase. And is this a place that we can get Kyle Busch off the schneid? He's been what, 4 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row, top 10, top 10, top 10. He's been running good, but is this the week we can get Kyle Busch back? This is a track he likes.
Well, it could be. I mean, he certainly has run better lately. Another guy there, Joey Logano's got 15 top 10s and 28 starts, but he's only got 5 top 5s, which is and no wins, which is really surprising. I also remember he was racing for Gibbs, I think it was, had that spectacular crash one time in turns 3 and 4, barrel rolled a few times. It was pretty.
It was that's a high banking to roll down, by the way.
And the other interesting, Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin, who won this race last year, 34 starts, but he's only got 8 top 5s. So he's kind of either been feast or famine here a little bit. So I think right now you look at Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson based on track history. What have you done for me lately? Everything else. The one other guy who we're not really looking at his stats here, but we ought to talk about before we get into the odds.
I was going to say, when we get to the odds, I was going to mention who's the best point getter in the last 10 races at Dover still right now as we sit here?
Martin Truex Jr.
Martin Truex Jr. 7 top 5s, 2 wins at Dover in the last 10 races. Now, we've just talked about, we ended the last segment talking about Chase Briscoe and Pocono and what he did there and how we were talking. Chase Briscoe, 4 starts, 0 top 10s. But now if you take, how far do we go with that Chase Briscoe, James Small?
Well, there's one big difference. This isn't one of Chase Briscoe's 10 home tracks.
Like no, this was another Martin Truex Jr. home track.
Everything above the Mason-Dixon line was a
hell,
home
I thought
track.
it was the Rockies.
Well, I think
so yeah, I wonder if we're going to see that same transposition with Martin Truex and Chase Briscoe now. That trend has been moving. Do I bet on it or not is the question.
Well, I think once we start seeing the odds, things will become a little clearer. All right, our odds to win, Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin are the co-favorites at plus 400. William Byron and Ryan Blaney are plus 600. Chase Elliott is 10-1. Christopher Bell and Ross Chastain 12-1. Tyler Reddick 20-1. Chase Briscoe, that guy, and Alex Bowman 25-1. And Brad Keselowski and Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs, who is along with Tyler Reddick, are still in the hunt for this in-season tournament. Keselowski and Gibbs both at 30-1.
Look, Ty Gibbs has been running very, very well, back to form that we kind of expected a little bit, right? He's got 1 top 10 in his 2 races here. He's got a 10th and a 13th, so really good average in his 2 races here. Do I think he's going to win? I mean, Martin Truex Jr., same team as Ty Gibbs was. You know, I mean, there's some of that there. I don't know. I do like that number, though, 30-1. But if you're telling me Chase Elliott, the guy we just talked about, even though Chase, once again, kill for Chase's slump, and I know serious guys can't see me doing the air quotes with my fingers, like and subscribe on the Gone Racin thing, and you can see that every week. But
and that's big, by the way. People follow us on
Twitter
YouTube,
and all that stuff at YouTube.
Just go
Like and
subscribe.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
We broke our record last week.
That's right.
For viewers. So now if you're going to be watching,
which there's somebody that was talking smack about me not picking well, please go back and look at last week's episode to see how bad I picked. You'll hear about it a little bit more later.
I was enjoying the guy talking smack to you, but I was thinking this guy doesn't know how wrong he was. So
Chase Elliott, though, 10-1. I do really like that. I mean, here's a guy been running top 5 every week. It was road courses recently, but been running top 5. Got the win a couple weeks ago at his home track in Atlanta, real home track, not Martin Truex Jr. version. And now you're giving me double digit at 10-1, and we just said his stats were in 12 races. You're telling me that Chase, 14 races, he has 10 top 10s, 2 wins, or 10 top 5s and 2 wins. I love that double digit on Chase Elliott. I may have to put my money where my mouth is on that.
Well, definitely the Elliott and Briscoes, I think. And, and Bowman's run well here. I know I'm not allowed to say that, but
are not allowed to say
Bowman has run well here. All right, let's look at our longer odds. More 30-1s. Chris Buescher, Joey Logano, and Carson Hocevar are all 30-1 as well. Kyle Busch is 40. Josh Berry, 50. Bubba Wallace and Austin Cindric are 60-1, along with Ryan Preece and AJ Allmendinger. Eric Jones is 80-1, Daniel Suarez 100, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 200, and we've got about 12 to 14 drivers in the field bet at 20-1.
Look, I would love to jump on that bandwagon because there's a lot of vehicles in that field, but I don't see it at Dover. I look at the Kyle Busch and say, hey, look, if you think Kyle Busch can return to old form, here's a place that he could do it at. And to give you a little food for thought, we always say, you love to say, what have you done for me lately? That's going on your t-shirt. The professionally unprofessional Jeff Motley is, what have you done for me lately? Kyle Busch, this race last year for Richard Childress Racing, 7th in stage 1, 5th in stage 2, led 34 laps, finished 4th. So Kyle Busch still looked good here last year for RCR.
Well, and one thing I think I have to point out about Dover, I mean, I don't think you're going to see upsets at Dover. We look at the last winners there, Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick and people like that. We don't see upsets. In fact, I'm not sure we've had a major upset in about 35 years at Dover. I mean, I think Derek Cope and Jody Ridley, maybe a couple of the guys, back in the day that pulled some upsets, but it's just not a racetrack where we see upsets. It's usually the cream rises to the top. The
vehicle requires so much at Dover to be good, and I think that's the main thing. It's the teams that have the best equipment. That the drivers have to do a lot. This place is a driver nightmare, but the car has to be there, and the cars every week are the main teams, and that's why you get good, old fashioned chalky winners.
Well, let's take a look at our top three odds for top three now. Obviously, our guys who are favored to win are also favored for the best odds on the top three.
Not minus 400, by the way.
No minuses today on the top threes. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson are plus 120. Ryan Blaney's plus 200. William Byron, 220. Christopher Bell, 275. Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, and Ross Chastain at 350. Chase Briscoe is 400. Alex Bowman and Kyle Busch plus 600. Chris Buescher, Joey Logano, both are plus 700. Carson Hocevar and Ty Gibbs at plus 800. Brad Keselowski's 10-1. Austin Cindric is 12-1, and Ryan Preece 15-1.
I am going to zero right in on Chase Elliott 350, Chase Briscoe 400, and Alex Bowman 600. Or Kyle Busch there. I love those four guys. I would be willing to pick almost 2 or 3 of them for a top 3 here, and I'd be happy. And if you went to DraftKings and found a top 5, they'll probably still have some good numbers. I would absolutely take that. Chase Briscoe, I'm going to go off the theory we talked about, and I do believe that he's trending that way. I'd love to see it. But Chase Elliott 350, that's a great return on a guy who has 10 top 5s in 14 frickin' races. That I love. And Alex Bowman, you said, you're not allowed to say nice things about him. I am. Alex Bowman is, you're talking 9 races here, 6 top 10s, 5 top 5s with a win in the last 9 races. So I do like Alex Bowman on that also. Those are ones that I just immediately am just taken to.
By the way, I want to say,
No, you're not allowed to backtrack.
I want to say something about Alex. No, it has nothing to do with that. But if there's a award for the guy who has shown the greatest amount of sportsmanship over the last couple of weeks, because he had the little kerfuffle with Bubba Wallace at Chicago, the Hasselhoff, as you like to call it, and the two of them had dinner apparently in Sonoma, or I don't know if they had dinner together, but Bubba saw Bowman in the restaurant and picked up his check for his dinner. So clearly, they had made peace. And then you had the Ty Dillon situation at the end of the race at Sonoma, and Bowman and Dillon were yucking it up when the race was over.
Listen, Bowman knew he messed up.
So I'm going to give Bowman some real points for Mr. Congeniality.
There you go.
Or the Lady Bing trophy they give in hockey,
guess what that
right?
wins you in the Miss America pageant.
Well, I get it, but might keep your sponsor around or something. All right, let's take a look at our longer shots for top threes. Also coming in at 15-1 is Josh Berry, Eric Jones, and AJ Allmendinger 17, Bubba Wallace 18, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 25, Shane Van Gisbergen
there he
on
is.
an oval 28-1, Daniel Suarez 30, Michael McDowell 35, Noah Gregson 40, Cole Custer, Zane Smith, Justin Haley, and John Hunter Nemechek 50. John Hunter, who is still in this tournament. The Dillon brothers, Austin and Ty, both at 70-1. Todd Gilliland and Riley Herbst 130, and Cody Ware 250.
I can talk about this one pretty darn quick for us here, Jeff Motley.
Not much to say.
Not much to say.
Yeah,
I don't see an upset top 3. Bubba Wallace. It would be the guy that you may say, okay, there's nobody on this page that I'm going to look at. Noah Gregson finished 6th here last year. Okay, maybe you can give a Noah Gregson love, but
I think the only guy on this board here that I would say, if the guy ended up in a top 3, it wouldn't surprise me, because he's due for a good race once every couple of months. It seems like that's Josh Berry. Like that one's a little bit mind-boggling to me, because we've seen so many really good runs out of Josh Berry. But
he finished 14th here last year in different team, but still finished 14th. So I'm not gonna give you no love on that. I look at that, look at how people did last year, look at the names there. Nothing pops out to me and says, "Ooh, I really like them on this page."
Well, let's take a quick look at our driver head-to-heads this week, and kind of depends on who you like or don't like. There's a couple of them over there that I kind of do like, and I'll just tell you, one jumps out at me is Chase Elliott getting a plus 125 against Ryan Blaney's minus 145.
That or the William Byron are the two that stick out to me the most. I mean, they're the two that maybe I would say.
Who do you like? You like Byron up against Larson?
I like Byron.
Byron
up against, not against. Sorry, I just closed that piece and.
Oh, Byron against Hamlin?
Like Byron against Hamlin.
Okay.
I like Byron against
Hamlin did win this race last year.
Yeah, but I like Byron. I think that. Well, you know what? He's been fading so bad right now. Forget the stats. I don't like that anymore. Never mind.
Change mine.
Never mind.
All right. Back on Gone Racing. We'll get into our group matchups. Welcome back to the Dude Wipe Studios here at the South Point Hotel Casino in fabulous Las Vegas. It's Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan, and Gone Racing, talking all things Dover Motor Speedway this weekend. Lovely Delaware. It's a great part of the country up there.
No, I used to love it up there. Like I said, the casino right there, kind of cool. How the casino's right at the racetrack, and
they got seats back there that's like right over the race. You can sit above the racetrack.
Yeah, when it was built, it was the DuPont Bridge or something like that.
You got the walking bridge over in turn 2, but then right there at the end of the back straightaway.
Cool seating area. They got some special glass that made it legal where it says it can withstand the blah blah blah.
And the cars just go right underneath.
That's super creepy right there, man. I've only been over the bridge when cars are going, never on that side.
I don't have some crazy Formula One crash or something. Cars flying up.
That'd be impressive.
So yeah. All right. When we went to break, we were talking head to heads, and we probably didn't talk about them enough.
I want to recant my William Byron after how bad William Byron has been the last 6 weeks. Losing the points lead, basically, the points lead, not the playoff points, but he's no longer, I don't believe, what is he, 624 to Byron's 6. He still has the point lead but it's gone from like 100-point lead to like 20. So I'm kind of recanting some of that because I think Byron is on the schneid right now. So I'm against Denny Hamlin, but I do want to say Chase Elliott has 2. You said William Byron and Ryan Blaney, 125, 10 races, top 5. 14 races overall.
And Elliott ran well last week. He won at Atlanta.
He's feeling good.
There's a lot of good stuff going on with Chase Elliott right now.
His slide that, once again,
it's
like
over.
Kevin Harvick. Yeah.
It's over.
Well, no, everybody still says, he didn't win as much, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I would have killed for that bad season.
I'm with you. I like Chase Elliott and some head-to-heads here. But all right, let's move along to our groups. In our Group A, hey, we got our favorites are actually in Group A this week, unlike last week where we didn't have the favorite in Group A. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, both plus 220. Your guy, William Byron, and Ryan Blaney, plus 330.
I don't often like Group A, but you're giving me Kyle Larson at plus 220 here. I like that a lot. The only thing, Denny Hamlin, what happens when Denny has a bad race normally with Denny?
He usually has a good one.
Normally he has a great one, and this is one of his better. This is a good track for him. 2 wins last 10 races. So I do like the 2 favorites here. I like the chalk, but Kyle Larson's consistency. He's also been on the schneid lately, though. We talked since the Indianapolis 500.
He had not led a race since the Coke 600 until I think this week, and he only led like a
lap or whatever it was.
And I think that's because SVG was pitting, because it wasn't anybody passing SVG.
No, he didn't flip the stage. He tried to stay out, so he led some laps. But right there, that puts me at Kyle Larson.
SVG, by the way, still won the stage.
Yeah, I know. That was awesome.
That was incredible.
That was awesome. But Denny Hamlin at 220 and Kyle Larson 220, my 2 favorites there. Denny Hamlin coming off a bad race is always pretty angry. I love that Denny Hamlin 220 right there. I just think it's a good return in a 4-man matchup. Byron and Blaney, Byron we talked about a minute ago. Blaney, been okay here, but not like Denny Hamlin. I love that 220.
Well, I'm not liking Group A just because it's against Larson, and I think this is a great track for Larson to bounce back. I am kind of with you, though.
You got to prove it to me.
I do think it's a 2-man race.
Oh, yeah.
Which I do agree with that. I'm not sure I see the Byron or the Blaney love here, but I just think the fact that, I like both Hamlin and Larson. I guess that's my problem. It's hard.
Denny.
It's harder for me to pick between the two of them.
But hey, you always tell me, until you prove me wrong, I'm not betting you. Well, right now, Kyle Larson hasn't done anything to win me any tickets lately, to cash anything. So I'm liking Denny Hamlin 220.
I do not disagree with that rationale. All right, let's take a look at Group B, where Chase Elliott is a prohibitive favorite at plus 175. Christopher Bell and Ross Chastain are both plus 275. And Tyler Reddick is a whopping plus 425. Now, is that enough to entice you? 425 in a 4-man horse race?
Tyler Reddick's got 2 top 10s and in the last 10 here. 11th last year, 7th the year before that. So he's got some good runs, and if I compare him to the rest of the guys in the field, Seabell, he's only got 2 top 10s in the last 6 races. Who's the other one in that group? We got Chase. The problem is he's against Chase Elliott. So there's the problem. Is I think Chase Elliott at the plus 175 is the prohibitive favorite. I would not bet against Chase Elliott. That's why he's 175. But versus the other guys, 425 is almost worth it for Chase Elliott. Look, anything can happen. It's racing. Motor, tire, somebody else's wreck. I think that is a great number right there for 425. It might be worth it for me to take one of my bets, even though I'm so high on Chase. I still love the 425. That's a massive number.
Well, a couple observations here on Group B. One is, now we're down to Final 4.
Mm-hmm.
There's $1 million on the line. How much is Tyler Reddick saying priority number one is to stay in front of Ty Gibbs? I mean, at what point? And now look, he wants to win the race. He wants to have the best run possible.
Here's the difference. I think Ty Dillon is thinking one thing and one thing only this weekend.
Beat John Hunter
Nemechek. I think Tyler Reddick,
if he wins the race, he beats him, right?
Is thinking that I'm still going to win races. I'm running for the championship. There's two mindsets here, two totally different mindsets.
All right.
And I believe that Tyler Reddick is not just thinking about Ty Gibbs. I think Ty Dillon is only thinking about John Hunter.
And that's fair. And John Hunter probably
Only
thinking about Ty
Ty
Dillon.
Dillon.
Same thing. Now, here's my other observation. If Chase Elliott is plus 125 head up against Ryan Blaney and plus 125 head up against William Byron, but he's only plus 175 to win Group B, I would rather go take him in these two, in both head-to-heads. And if he wins those and if he runs well, because I honestly think he should be in Group A.
Yes, I agree. You should have had him Group A, Ryan Blaney in Group B. But him there, the 425 is a lot of cheese in a four-man horse race. I may have to take it just in the fact that anything can happen, because I think he's the second best in that group. I don't think he should be the dog.
I agree with you there. All right, let's move along to Group C. We have co-favorites at the top of Group C with Chase Briscoe and Alex Bowman, and then Brad Keselowski and Ty Gibbs at plus 315.
This, sadly, Mr. Motley, is my ex.
Really?
Yeah. Here's the problem. I love Ty Gibbs right now and what he's been doing. He's got 315. I love it. Alex Bowman, I just said, this is one of his places that he's run very well out. I like him. And Chase Briscoe, the whole theory we're talking about with the Martin Truex Jr., if I'm betting, there's too many avenues there for me to look at those three guys and say, Brad Keselowski, I know his history here, but what have you done for me lately? Not great. What have you done recently? Been well, but at Dover, not. So I look at this and I go, there's three guys that I think too highly of, 315, 230, 230. I can't separate. I can't do it.
Well, I am buying into the James Small, Martin Truex Jr. number 19 theory.
If you're buying into that, that's a great number.
I'm buying into that theory. I think Chase Briscoe probably has his confidence as high
as he's ever had it.
I don't know.
I'm with you.
I don't know if you saw his comment that he made this week when he said, obviously I'm not a basketball player and I never played against Michael Jordan. He says, but I have to feel like when I'm racing against SVG on a road course, it's like the basketball players that had to play against Michael Jordan. In other words, I think Briscoe walked out of Sonoma saying, you know what? I might have been the second best guy here today,
but I was the best guy in class.
I was the second best guy to maybe the best who's ever done it. Even though I know it's a small sample size on SVG, and he's only been at this full time for a couple of years.
I'm with you. I don't and like I said, I don't dislike that. The only problem is Alex Bowman has, and from your standpoint, you think it's a one-man horse race because Alex Bowman, you're not allowed to say anything nice about. And Bowman, I like five top fives in 9 races and a win. I like Bowman that much. I love the Chase Briscoe theory, and I love the Ty Gibbs, so I can't bet it because I got an X on it.
Well, and I'd also like to just give another little nod. And
by the way, Bill Russell, 11 championships. He's the GOAT.
But again, a guy Chase Briscoe's age probably doesn't remember Bill. In fact,
I'm just saying you do. I love Michael Jordan.
But I also want to give Chase Briscoe credit for one of the funniest tweets that I've ever seen, which I sent to you. So Dover this pylon week was testing all the light bulbs in the pylon.
What's the only bulb that hits all the letters or all the
only numbers is the 8. So every space had 88, and of course we know Shane Van Gisbergen drives 88, and Chase Briscoe says, "Oh my gosh, did Dover build a road course?" Which I thought that was
a great job, Chase.
That was very clever. So all right, let's move along to Group D here, where Chris Buescher comes in as our favorite at plus 255. Joey Logano and Carson Hocevar are plus 260, and Kyle Busch, big number there, plus 355.
And even Kyle Busch, what have you done for me lately? We've talked about it. He was great here last year. Chris Buescher, he's got a 17th, 9th, and 8th in the last 3 races, and Chris, that team has been running well, Chris especially, so I don't dislike that. Hocevar is just so hit and miss. When he shows up big. He's
been missing a lot lately.
And he's been missing a lot lately. But when he does show, he shows. And Logano, we talked about his stats. does okay, but never won. So 5 top 10s last 10 races, average finish 15.2, but the last 3 have been 16, 31, and 29. So to me, that makes me go to the dog in this group, which it's Kyle Busch in Group D. I know we don't talk about the same Kyle Busch anymore, but against these 3 drivers on this race course, I really am high on Kyle Busch in Group D.
And that's a big number, 355. Well, I'm going to disagree with you here because I like Buescher here a lot.
We always like Buescher. I mean, Buescher's one of our favorites, and he's down in Group D again.
And I think I like Buescher because, look, there's no question that over the last 6 or 8 weeks, he's been the most consistent driver in this group right here. Kyle Busch has got me in the, what have you done for me lately? Like, I want to see something, before I'm ready to go down that road. And you mentioned the fact Logano does not have a great record here at Dover. And Hocevar, looks like he might be leaking oil just a little bit right now, maybe literally and figuratively. But it just seems like, well, I mean, he's knocked a lot of fenders and oil pans and everything off that car the last few weeks. They've been in the body shop. So I just, I'm looking Buescher.
Go to Group E.
I didn't really know it was that funny.
Roll to Group E.
All right, Group E, co-favorites, Austin Cindric and Ryan Preece at 265, AJ Allmendinger, Eric Jones, 270.
This is a tough group to handicap here. You look at these names, the only thing I can say, and you're going to beat me to it, is the guy that has been running the best lately in this group is Ryan Preece. He has been the best. Cindric, Dinger, all these guys way down on the list. Average finish Cindric 25.7. The Dinger average finish 21.4. Ryan Preece average finish 24.4. But lately he's been very, very well. That team has been running extremely well. So if you're going to pick anybody, the only thing that scares you, Eric Jones, 13.9.
Okay, we'll be back. Welcome back into the Dude Wipe studio here at the South Point Casino in Las Vegas. Jeff Motley and Brendan Gaughan, who was so excited talking about Group E that he almost forgot what our out time was.
Professionally unprofessional.
We are professionally unprofessional. We sort of hang our hat on that.
Wrap that up real quick, though. Eric Jones has the best stats, but the problem is, Jeff, we've talked about this, the old team versus the new team. None of those top 10s were with this new team. So Eric Jones, I don't like this group there. Preece.
I love Preece here.
I knew you would. That's why.
I love
that's where
Preece.
I was going to. So
I love Preece.
Been running the best. Preece is the one to look at there.
And I think legacy. It's an every other week kind of thing, and it should be John Hunter this week because it's more important for John Hunter this week. But moving along to Group F. Speaking of John Hunter, Zane Smith and Michael McDowell at plus 265. Noah Gragson, John Hunter Nemechek plus 270.
I just said Noah had a top 10 here last year. That could be the only thing I could really look at there. McDowell, 10 races, never had a top 10. Once again, there's just no pizzazz in this group for me this week.
It's interesting, I think, this group, too, because honestly, all 4 guys have got something to hang their hat on here. Zane Smith has been actually pretty consistent this year. He's certainly having the best year of his career. Michael McDowell coming off 4th place last week. Noah Gragson finished 6th here, the race last year, and John Hunter is still one of the final 4 left in this tournament. So there's actually some things that all 4 of these guys can hang their hat on a little bit. I'm with you. I don't think just
don't like it this week.
It's not a group I want to pick, but I can make a case for each of those guys. Now let's talk about our in-season tournament. We are down to the final 4, this heavyweight battle of final 4 here, where we have the 32nd seeded Ty Dillon, who continues to just pull upset after upset after upset. I know you're excited.
I was excited for him.
I know that the most disappointing thing for you is he's minus 110 against John Hunter Nemechek's minus 120. Now, you and I both took him 2 weeks ago. You stayed on the Ty Dillon bandwagon this week. Now, from a betting standpoint, there's really not much to be won here. This is what makes me get mad
about a DraftKings. I mean, come on, guys. You're doing negative juice on both and a slight favorite to Ty Dillon. That's just, I just don't like it. Love Ty Dillon to be at least a plus 105 against that. I mean, come on.
You think that might change at some sports books that might actually put a lineup? They're going to stay there?
No, I don't think they have enough action to really move that. But I do like this one. as much as I love my Ty Dillon, it's going to be tough for that Cinderella slipper to stay on because this is a tough place. And John Hunter and that legacy team has been running very well. I'm hoping for Cinderella slipper. Go Ty Dillon, go John Hunter. I'm not against you. I love you too, kiddo. But I think it's going to be tough. I do like Joe Nemechek here.
Well, and the other side, I know who you meant.
We do it all the time.
I'm sure.
The other side, I do like. I do like the other side.
Now, the other side, we got I would say a much more of a heavyweight matchup to some degree, with the exception of actually if they got on a scale, it wouldn't be a heavyweight matchup. Ty Gibbs, well, they're not big guys.
Buck 20 each.
Neither one of them are. Ty Gibbs is plus 110 to Tyler Reddick's minus 150.
Which once again, the 6 seed is the dog over the 23 seed, which we'll talk about that another day. But I do like the Ty Gibbs plus 110. Here's why. Look, Reddick is good. We talked about it. I don't dislike Reddick. I love him at plus 425. But it's not like this is someplace that Reddick has been drop dead fantastic at. He's got 2 top 10s and 6 races. This is a tough place. Ty Gibbs running well. I do like what Ty's done in the few races he's had here. It's a plus number and a head-to-head. And I've kind of made a rule that I'm going to keep one of these every week in the in-season challenge. So I like the Ty Gibbs plus 110.
I can't wait to see what you pick next week when we get to the final.
It'll be final too. So we'll see.
I agree with you. I think it's good to have the plus 110 on Ty Gibbs. I'm not going to be betting either one of these sides this week. I know you hope TV will cover this battle a little bit better on the main broadcast this week.
Don't screw it up.
So we'll see.
The problem is you had exactly what you wanted last week. You had amazing battle for it.
Two guys coming down. Yeah,
and you had it with John Hunter and Eric Jones. They were 1 or 2 spots from each other, and they never showed that.
Well, if they're running close with 10 to go, there should be an inset box showing the battle.
Them, yes.
Now, if one of them's already crashed out, we don't need to see the other one cross the line. We don't care. So, exactly. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at our manufacturer picks this week. Well, Chevy's not a negative this week.
No.
They are plus 100, Toyota plus 180, and Ford plus 330, which I guess that's not really a big surprise, but plus 180, and you get Briscoe, you get the winner last year, Hamlin, you get Christopher Bell.
Plus 180, it's a good return in a 3-man horse race with the drivers that you're getting on the Toyota camp. That's a good number. I do like the 180 Toyota. It's if you're going to bet it, I'd bet the Toyota 180. That's where I'd lean to. They got enough high caliber people that can win this race.
Yeah, I rarely ever touch the manufacturer pick, and this is going to be another one of those weeks.
We do once in a while. I dabble in there, but
you dabbled last week, and
second and third.
But you did get
or second and fourth.
You got second.
He was third coming. Second and fourth.
Was McDowell in the Toyota?
No, but I thought it was
Bell. Bell.
That's right. Bell
came
down
to fifth. Yep, but still second.
Yeah,
that's
There.
important. But how much did that pay?
It was big last week. It was like. I think it was the.
But how much did Toyota pay for finishing second?
Nothing.
Just saying. Okay.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Right. Do we need to talk about the
odds championship odds stay the same. I'm rinse and repeat. Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, guys that have value.
SVG at 50 to 1 now. Is he
SVG
from at 80 to 1?
He's gone down a little bit. Still a lot of value in a lot of places. You've missed out on some of the big ticket items though. Larson and Bell.
You're not getting any value on championship odds the rest of the year. Just face it.
You might find somebody.
We might.
Let's talk about last week. We need to do time for last week. I love last week.
Now, to your credit, you did take the lead last week. But look, there's some accolades to go around.
Everybody had a good most of us had a good week as usual. So you can hear behind the curtain.
All right. We will start with you, unless we have a graphic that says we have to start with mine. But
first.
There we go. We're going to start with you because you had 3 big winners last week. You had Chase Elliott, almost four. You had Elliott I was kind of close to 4 myself, but I was close to 3 myself. Excuse me.
8 units.
Elliott with the top 3, a plus 5 there, and then you had 2 head-to-heads, Elliott over Larson, and you took that Ty Dillon over Bowman, so you got that one on the last turn of the last
Way to go,
lap.
TD.
Gave you an 8.45. I had 2 wins last week. I had the
Good
Elliott top 3, same as you, but I believed in Chase Briscoe, and that's why I'm staying with Chase Briscoe again this week for sure. And Pit Crew did get a win on Joey Logano winning in Group D, but it did allow you to move into a very narrow lead. You have a lead.
Doesn't matter what the lead is.
This is Daniel Suarez over Kyle Busch at Atlanta lead right now.
Doesn't matter how big the lead is. You still kick their butt. Here's the graphic with the season total. If you click link and subscribe, you can see it.
Exactly. But keep in mind the season's not over.
Doesn't matter. The cream is back to the top. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And to the guy on Twitter who said, let me go back and watch last week. Go back and watch it, baby. Go back and watch it. Bring it.
All righty. And with that, I will read the pit crew picks.
They're still in last.
Because they are still in last place. The pit crew, they're going top 3 for Kyle Busch, plus 600. So you've been talking to Kyle Busch.
I dig that one.
They've got Denny Hamlin in Group A at plus 220.
I dig that one.
Ty Gibbs, Group C, plus 315. Joey Logano in Group D at plus 260. And they love my man, Ryan Preece, Group E at plus 265.
Hey, guess what? I don't go second this week.
I'm not even properly prepared because I'm not used to going.
Do you need me to go second for you? Do you need me to go second to give you the time? I can give it to you if you need.
No, I'm just butthurt that I'm over here.
Just saying.
I haven't picked second in since the Bush administration. I mean, I hate
or
this.
last season when I picked your butt.
All right, so. Look, everything that I've picked, I've pretty much said my picks as we were doing the show. I am all in on the Chase Elliott, both the head-to-heads against William Byron and Ryan Blaney. Both of those are plus 125. I've thrown my hat in the Chase Briscoe ring here in Group C, plus 230. I definitely talked up Chris Buescher in Group D. I know you didn't like that group, but I got Buescher plus 255, and I don't think this will surprise anybody that I'm taking Ryan Preece in Group E at plus 265. So, all right, Mr. First
Leader. Mr. Leader.
Mr. First Place. Oh,
so my problem is I got 6 picks now, and I don't know what to do.
You only get to have 5 on the show.
I know.
No cheating.
So I'm torn. Do I start with my top 3 or do I ditch the top 3? Because I kind of like having those. I like having something to root for in the playoffs. Okay, here's what I got. I got Elliott for a top 3 at plus 350. I'm riding the Elliott train. Those stats to me are just way too big, and I like him in the top 3. I'm also doubling down with Elliott again. I'm going Elliott over Ryan Blaney at plus 125 because I'm just doubling down. You know what? I could take that one out. I'm still there. All right. Reddick in Group B at plus 425. The return was too big for me to pass up. Hell, I can even win that one. I could have Chase Elliott third and Reddick second and still be a happy camper. And then I've got Kyle Busch in Group D at plus 355. I think Kyle's going to get it for me. Then my last one, I said I had to take that Gibbs bet, but I do like the Denny bet. Which one do I go?
You mean Denny in the group?
Yeah.
Group A?
Yeah.
Well, he's got to beat 3 good drivers for 220.
I said I want to have somebody in that playoff format in the in-season tournament. Ty Gibbs over Tyler Reddick at plus 110. Kind of going against myself a little bit there, but I want that 110.
Well, I do like the indecision.
I do have indecision.
That gives me hope. And then, of course, I will be excited to see what...
Kicking myself if Denny wins Group A and I'd left it on the table.
And I'll be even more excited to see what our keyboard jockeys say to you this week.
Please talk.
Who was that guy? Do we know that guy?
No, I don't think. Actually, in honest, I don't think he was. I think he was just trying to have a little fun.
He was,
and I had a little fun back with him, and so that's what we do. That to me is what X is about, and what all that stuff is fun for, and that's why we got Dude Wipes is on board. That's why we got the South Point Studio.
And we need
that's
you
why
to go subscribe to this. Subscribe to this.
It's fun to watch. It's fun. All of those on SiriusXM. We love you listening, but we're here to talk about something that actually is money. This isn't just us giving NASCAR commentary. We're talking about real world money, not me and Pete Pistone fantasy racing preview. Love it. But this is about, cash. And
there's a lot of states that have DraftKings. A lot of our odds come from DraftKings. You can certainly do that. We're getting more and more states now that have all kinds of various.
We're talking real money, and we take it serious, and we're doing pretty well. If you follow us, you can do pretty well.
Well, and that's a good point. I mean, you're 34 units to the good.
You're 33 units to the good.
33.65. And the pit crew is still 10 units to the good, which, as I like to say, it's better than a sharp stick in the eye.
All of us are looking pretty darn good.
Right.
We actually look like we might know what we're talking about.
Which that's
it's very rare in our lives.
Why'd you like Dover so much?
I did love Dover. It was a roller coaster. Only place you felt speed. You'd go into turn 1. There's a bump there. You'd go down. I'll never forget Robert Presley, my first time there, telling me how to get through it. Told him to warm up the backup. Thought I was going to be in the fence. Love it there. So much fun.
Good you didn't. All right. That'll do it for us this week on Gone Racing. Back next week, we'll wrap up Dover. And next week, we'll be able to finish the tournament. We go to Indianapolis.